A certain attribute of an entity may result from a calculation that is always performed in the same way, which means its value can be obtained at the moment when the calculation is needed and therefore does not need to be stored. For example, since the customer transaction includes the customer added date attribute to store the date the customer was added to the system, we can always calculate how many days ago they were added by subtracting from today's date, returned by the today function, the value of the customer added date attribute. Performing the subtraction will return a numeric value, 25 days, 365 days, 1000 days, etc. We could then define an attribute named Customer Agent System that is calculated in this way. To define the calculation, we use the formula column in the transaction structure. When the calculation is entered there, the attribute will automatically be marked as a formula attribute. In the source view, it is expressed in this way. When an attribute is defined as a formula, it becomes virtual, meaning it will not be created as a physical field in the table because it is no longer necessary. That is why if we edit the table information, it will appear as a logical attribute. Every time the attribute value is needed, it is calculated. This is the reason why, if we choose to run at this point, there will be nothing to reorganize in the database. And when we enter in update mode to work with the customer's information, we'll see that the field corresponding to the formula attribute appears as read-only, non-editable, and displays the calculated value. So, with this value for the customer's registration date in the system, March 28th, followed by 3 more days in March until April, the current month, today being April 10th, we confirm that the calculation is correct. Plus 3, a total of 13 days since that date. Note that if we change the registration date, for example by moving it back 1 day, the formula attribute recalculates when exiting the field and updates the displayed value accordingly. In summary, attributes corresponding to formulas can be defined for any transaction. These formulas, in general, will require querying other attributes to perform the calculation, as we saw in the previous example. In the following videos, we'll explore more interesting use cases in our application, where, again, the value of an attribute will require a calculation based on data from the database. However, formula attributes can also perform calculations that don't depend on the database at all. For example, adding 1 year to today's date. In this case, we're using the addYear method on a variable of type date and today, which is automatically created by default in every GeneXus object and is assigned the current date by the system. No database information is needed in this case. On this wiki page, we can inspect the different functions and methods available for each data type and their syntax. For example, for date data types, we have all these that allow us to manipulate a date. In the following videos, we will see 2 major cases of formulas. The ones we usually call horizontal formulas, such as the one we've just seen, and aggregate formulas, which are used, for example, to sum or count records.